A planet called Krypton is shown at the start of the film, where peculiar creatures reside. The inhabitants of Krypton are concerned because the planet is slowly deteriorating. In a couple's home, a baby is born, the son of Jor-El. Jor-El is also distressed about the condition of their planet and desires to obtain the genetic codex, a device containing the planet's DNA and valuable information. With this, another planet could be populated similar to Krypton. Jor-El approaches the Supreme Council, requesting the genetic codex to save their planet. However, they refuse to give it to him. Suddenly, the general and his troops appear, having overheard the conversation. They open fire on the council member because they too are after the genetic codex. The general harbors evil intentions and wants to eliminate the inhabitants of another planet if they transfer their own inhabitants. Jor-El, on the other hand, believes in unity and wants everyone to coexist. A heated argument ensues between them. Jor-El manages to escape and summons his pet dragon to flee from that location. He embarks on a search for the genetic codex, with the general persistently following him, attempting to launch an attack. Thankfully, Jor-El's dragon saves him, sacrificing itself and getting injured in the process. Jor-El is fortunate to have found the genetic codex and hands it over to his wife when he returns. He instructs her to infuse its DNA into their son because Krypton is on the brink of destruction. Jor-El reveals that he knew from the beginning that their son is extraordinary and possesses numerous abilities. They must rescue him so he can achieve a high rank in the future. They send him far away in a spacecraft, and Jor-El's wife keeps a sentimental key. Jor-El's wife becomes emotional and starts to weep, but they must carry out their plan. The general approaches once again and kills Jor-El after multiple attacks, causing a great tragedy. He then proceeds towards the spacecraft, intending to stop it and attack it. However, the news reaches Krypton's council, and they promptly send a fighter to intercept the general. The spacecraft is protected from harm. When the council learns that Jor-El has been murdered, they punish the general by imprisoning him. Meanwhile, the baby's spacecraft lands on planet Earth, while Krypton and its inhabitants continue to face destruction. Now the story is set in the present time. The protagonist, a fisherman named Clark, is shown aboard a ship. It is revealed that he possesses superhuman abilities. Nearby, an aircraft is seen crashing. Clark quickly arrives at the scene, joined by rescuers. Meanwhile, a tower is on the verge of collapse, but Clark uses his full powers to prevent it from falling. Unfortunately, the aircraft explodes, causing Clark to fall into the water. As he regains consciousness, memories of his past flood back. As a baby, Clark possessed extraordinary capabilities, including the ability to observe distant objects and hear sounds from afar. He was also incredibly strong. In one instance, when his school bus plunged into the water, he single-handedly saved the bus and its occupants without understanding how he did so. Clark's father, aware of his son's superhuman abilities, urged him to keep them secret, as revealing them could attract unwanted attention and gossip from the public. Consequently, Clark took on the disguise of a waiter at a hotel, indulging his passion for travel and discovery. One day, he learns about the discovery of an ancient scout ship dating back 20,000 years. Intrigued, Clark decides to visit the site. At the same time, a news reporter named Lois, also seeking an exciting story, arrives at the location. As night falls, Lois begins taking photos and notices a man in the pictures, who turns out to be Clark, using his laser vision to locate the scout ship and melt the ice on the mountain. With determination, Clark continues his search for the scout ship. There is a module on that scout ship called Clark that had a peculiar key. He activates the central computer by using the key, allowing him to communicate with his father, Jor-El, who greets Clark and expresses surprise at his arrival. Clark asks how his father is able to talk to him, and Jor-El explains that they used to live on the planet Krypton and sent him to Earth when it was being destroyed. Jor-El reveals that he was killed due to someone's greed for the genetic codex, which he explains further. Jor-El informs Clark that he had matched his DNA with the genetic codex before sending him to Earth, granting him superhuman ability. He encourages Clark to use these abilities wisely, and even provides him with a costume. Meanwhile, a reporter girl is present and begins taking photos of the artificial intelligence model. However, she is attacked by the model and falls to the ground. Clark comes to her rescue and carries her outside. Afterwards, he takes the scout ship and leaves. The shocked reporter goes to her news company's supervisor to discuss what happened. Although she suggests publishing the news article, the supervisor is uncertain and advises against it. However, the reporter Lois decides to share the news with another reporter. Meanwhile, Clark has transformed into Superman and is fearlessly flying through space. Lois arrives at Clark's house and meets his mother, visiting his father's grave. Clark approaches and questions why Lois is pursuing him. Lois explains that she finds his superhuman abilities peculiar and questions why he is hiding them from the world. Clark invites her to listen to a significant event from his life and begins recounting a day when he was with his parents somewhere. There was also our dog with us, but a big storm broke out. A tornado started engulfing everything. We all got out of the car, but our dog was left behind. The father went to rescue it, but he himself got trapped. I wanted to help him and could have saved him, but he gestured for me to stay away. He said, "Never reveal your superhuman abilities to anyone." I couldn't get near him, and the tornado took him away. He is no longer with us today, but I still remember his advice. Why should I showcase my superhuman powers to the world if I couldn't even save him? However, she says, you are doing well for the world. Carry on. Clark goes to his mother and tells her, "Mother, I have turned into Superman. The secret has been revealed to me, which explains why I have always been exceptionally strong." Hearing this, his mother tears up with happiness but asks, "Will you leave me?" Clark replies, "What are you talking about? I will always be with you." Meanwhile, soldiers receive mysterious photos through satellite, indicating that a spacecraft is approaching the universe. They also receive a message stating that an inhabitant from their planet is on Earth, and they have come to retrieve him. If he is not returned, they will destroy the planet. Everyone becomes alarmed upon hearing this, but for their safety, they decide to send Clark, Superman, back. Unfortunately, the news of Clark's existence is revealed by the news company's supervisor, as it is no longer a secret. It is then discovered that a general from the planet Krypton has arrived on Earth. Soldiers and agents are searching for Superman, but he doesn't want to cause havoc. Therefore, he presents himself in front of them to avoid any trouble. He is captured and interrogated by Lois, with military personnel listening through a two-way mirror. Clark tells her, "You don't need to keep an eye on me. I offer myself in custody for the security of all. Don't worry, just send me to them so that you all can remain safe." Through this conversation, they realize that he is not a threat. Superman is then taken to an open field, where the inhabitants of Krypton come to retrieve him. They request that Lois be allowed to accompany them, but the military refuses. Lois insists on going and is taken as well. She is imprisoned upon reaching Krypton. Now, the general approaches Superman and informs him that Krypton has been destroyed, and he needs to go to Earth to establish a new Krypton. He asks Superman where the genetic codex is, to which Superman responds, "I don't know." The general interprets this as Superman wanting him to create a new Krypton by exterminating everyone on Earth. Meanwhile, Lois is still shown in her prison chamber. She had the mysterious key to the spacecraft given to her by Clark. As she enters the spacecraft, Jor-El appears once again. He tells Lois that he is the creator of the spacecraft and knows all its functions. He instructs her to do as he says. Outside, they are attacked by the general's military forces. In the chaos, Lois manages to return to Earth with the help of Jor-El. Jor-El then goes to Superman and questions why he isn't using his full power. He encourages Superman to break open the spacecraft's door, which he does with his immense strength. Once outside, Superman feels even more powerful in the sunlight. Meanwhile, Lois's spacecraft begins to crash in space. Superman quickly flies to her rescue, bringing her safely back to Earth. It is revealed that the general has also arrived on Earth and confronts Superman's mother, demanding to know the whereabouts of her son and the genetic codex. Just as he is about to harm her, Superman intervenes and swiftly takes him away. He engages in a fierce battle with the general, damaging his helmet and impeding his breathing. However, the general's troops come to his aid and bring him back to their planet, Krypton. The general's assistant informs him that extracting the codex from Superman is his duty, whether dead or alive. Back on Earth, the general releases two machines that emit a mysterious smoke, altering the planet's atmosphere to resemble Krypton. Lois approaches the army chief with information provided by Jor-El, suggesting that the machines can be destroyed by crashing her spacecraft into them. Superman confirms her plan and destroys the second machine. On the opposite side, Lois and the army chief are traveling in a spacecraft, but they are stopped by the general's agent. The pilot of the spacecraft sacrifices his own life by crashing it into the machine, causing its destruction. During the incident, Lois falls out of the spacecraft, but Superman rescues her. They safely land on the ground, much to the relief of the people witnessing the destruction of both machines. However, General reappears and vows to finish off Superman. A gripping battle ensues as they make their way into a nearby building. While engaged in a fierce battle, the general emitted beams of laser light from his eyes, endangering innocent people within the building. The lives of these individuals were at risk due to this menacing display. Despite Superman's desperate pleas, the general persisted, forcing Superman to reluctantly take his life in order to save the helpless victim. Although Superman did not desire to resort to such extreme measures, his primary objective was to rescue the imperiled individuals. Overwhelmed with sorrow, he began to weep after the irreversible act. After some time had passed, Superman, known as Clark, sought out Lois to conduct an interview regarding his heroic acts as a news reporter. With a warm smile, Lois not only granted him the interview but also offered him a job, warmly saying, "Welcome to our new planet." This scene marked the end of the movie.